no fixed self, yet everything connects. Not self and dependent origination. You are sitting here, reading these words. Someone is thinking, someone is feeling, someone exists. That much feels certain. Why would anyone even ask? 2,500 years ago, a man asked exactly that question back, and his answer left even his closest students staring at him in silence. This thing you call I, show it to me. Where does it live? Not in the body. The body ages, sickens, and falls apart. Not in emotion. Emotion shifts like weather. Sunlight 1 hour, storm the next. Not in memory, not in thought, not in will. All of it changing moment to moment, like water that never holds still for 2 seconds in a row. So who is suffering? Who dies? And who is reborn? And if nothing exists on its own, independent, then why does anything happen in order at all, cause following cause? These are the 2 deepest teachings the Buddha ever gave, not self and dependent origination, not distant philosophy floating above ordinary life, but the key to understanding exactly how a single flash of anger builds itself, moment by moment, and why we keep landing in the same suffering again and again. And the clearest way to understand them isn't through definition, it's through the people who once sat in front of the Buddha, faces full of confusion, asking the very questions we still ask today. Only days after the sermon at Deer Park, the Buddha returned to the 5 ascetics who had once been his companions. They had already entered the stream of awakening, but one final knot remained untied, the deep, quiet assumption of a fixed, permanent self. He sat down among them, his voice calm, each question landing like a needle, finding exactly the right point. This body, is it you? Kondanya, the eldest and first to understand him, answered, "No, Blessed One. If the body were you, you could command it. Stay young, never sicken, simply by wishing it so. Can you? We cannot." The Buddha nodded and moved through each part of experience in turn, feeling, perception, the mental patterns of craving and aversion and fear, and even the very awareness that knows all of it. With each one, he asked the same question, "Is this you? Is this yours?" And each time the answer was no, because all of it arises and passes. All of it shifts, none of it stays still long enough to be called a fixed, unchanging self. To make it easier to grasp, he pointed toward the river flowing nearby. You call that the river, don't you? But is today's water yesterday's water? No. Is this moment's water the water from a moment ago? Also no. It has already flowed on, replaced by new water arriving behind it. So why do we still call it the river, as though it were one fixed thing? Because it holds a continuous shape, Blessed one of them offered, because it flows by one unbroken pattern, one current following another. Exactly. You are the same as that river. There is no fixed self standing behind the scenes, holding the wheel. There is only a continuous flow of body and mind, one moment giving rise to the next, shaped entirely by conditions, not steered by some unchanging soul. The 5 men sat in silence. This was not bad news. It was a door opening. If there is no fixed self to defend, to prove, to cling to, then the exhausting weight of having to be someone, to maintain a fixed image of who you are, becomes lighter than they had ever imagined. But one question rises immediately in anyone's mind on hearing this, and a young monk named Yasa, newly ordained, was brave enough to ask it outright. Blessed One, if there is no self, no fixed soul, then when a person dies, what is reborn? If I in this life am not I in the next, then what is the point of rebirth at all? Who receives the consequence of whose actions? This is the hardest question of all, and the Buddha did not answer with abstract philosophy. Night had fallen, and he simply pointed to the oil lamp burning inside the hut. Yasa, look at this flame. If I take it and light a second lamp from it, then let the first lamp burn out completely. Is the flame in the second lamp the same flame as the first? Yasa thought for a moment. Not exactly the same flame, Blessed One, but not something entirely different either. It arose from the first. Exactly so. Neither one nor two. That is the relationship between this life and the next. No fixed soul flies from one body to another like changing clothes, but neither does death simply end everything with no cause and no consequence. The current of karma, of mental habit, of everything you have planted in your own mind continues onward, like flame passing to flame, even though the flame that follows is never quite the flame that came before. Yasa lowered his head, not fully grasping it in that moment, and the Buddha did not expect him to. Some truths need time to settle, the way eyes need time in darkness before shapes become clear. Don't try to seize this with logic all at once, he added gently. Not self is not nothingness. It is not there is nothing here, so nothing matters. It is an invitation to release your grip on a fixed, permanent self so that you may live more lightly, not so that you may abandon responsibility for the very current of cause and effect you are still living inside. Years later, at Jetavana Monastery, on a pale afternoon, the Venerable Sariputta, regarded as foremost in wisdom among the disciples, sat in the courtyard with a group of young monks. One of them, still wrestling with the teaching of not self, asked further, "Venerable One, if there is no self, then where does suffering come from? Does it simply appear on its own, with no owner at all?" Sariputta did not answer right away. He stood, walked to the corner of the courtyard where a gardener had propped up 2 bundles of reeds, leaning them against each other so they could stand. He pulled one bundle away. The other collapsed to the ground instantly. Do you see? This bundle stood not because it was strong on its own, but because it leaned on the other. Pull one away, and the other falls. Nothing in this world exists alone, separate, independent. Everything comes to be by leaning on something else. He set the reeds upright again and continued, his voice unhurried, telling it more like a story than a lecture. The Blessed One taught, when this exists, that exists. When this arises, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not exist. When this ceases, that ceases. This is the principle of dependent origination. No one stands behind the scenes pressing a button that creates suffering, and suffering does not fall from the sky on its own either. It is a chain, one link forming the condition for the next, leaning one into another, exactly like these 2 bundles of reeds. The young monk still looked uncertain. But where does the chain begin, Venerable One? It begins with ignorance, the failure to see the true nature of things clearly. From ignorance, formations arise, from formations, consciousness, and onward through name and form, the 6 senses, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, and finally aging and death. 12 links, a closed circle, each one feeding the next. But do not try to memorize this like a chant. Look instead at your own life. You will find it is not distant at all. On another day at Jetavana, Ananda, the Buddha's closest attendant, sharp-minded, blessed with a remarkable memory, after hearing the teaching on dependent origination many times, spoke up with quiet confidence. Blessed One, I find this teaching of dependent origination, deep as it is, actually fairly clear and easy for me to grasp. The Buddha turned to him, his voice more serious than usual. Do not say that, Ananda. Do not say that. This teaching is deep, truly deep. It is precisely because beings fail to penetrate it, fail to see through it, that they remain tangled like a knotted ball of thread, like a bird's nest matted together, like a thicket of twisted reeds, unable to escape the realms of suffering, the lower paths, the endless cycle of birth and death. Ananda fell silent, a little stung to be corrected in front of the others. The Buddha, seeing this, softened his voice, and instead of more theory, offered an example so ordinary that anyone listening today would recognize it instantly. Ananda, think back to the last time you felt anger toward someone. It did not appear from nowhere. First, there was contact, a word, a look, an action from another person touching you. From that contact, a feeling arose, discomfort, a sense of being wronged. From that feeling, craving arose. You wanted the discomfort gone, or you wanted to strike back. From craving, clinging arose. You began holding on to the story in your mind. This person is impossible. This person is always like this. And from that clinging, a decision took shape, a sharp word, an action that wounded you both. He looked slowly around the room, letting his gaze rest on each face in turn. Do you see? At no single moment did anger simply appear out of thin air, and at no point was there a fixed self standing ready, waiting to be angry. It is a chain, one link pulling the next, exactly like the bundles of reeds leaning together. And because it is a chain built from conditions, it can be cut at any point along its length. You do not have to wait until you have already acted, only to regret it afterward. You can stop the moment discomfort first arises before it grows into craving, into clinging, into a decision that causes harm. Ananda bowed his head. This time not from being corrected, but because for the first time, he truly saw something he had only ever thought he understood. Not self is not sad news. It is not you are nothing, you vanish. None of this means anything. It is an invitation to set down a heavy burden, the burden of defending, proving, and clinging to a fixed image of who I am. An image that, like the river, has never once stood still. And dependent origination is not fate written in stone. It does not mean everything is already decided. There is nothing you can do. It shows the opposite, because suffering arises from a chain of conditions. It can be changed. It can be cut, right at the very moment you are living in now. These two teachings, once the most abstract in all the Buddha's words, turn out to be the closest to home, because they are speaking about your anger from yesterday, the sadness you are carrying today, the question, who am I, that everyone has whispered to themselves in the dark. Nothing stands alone. Nothing stays the same, not even suffering. If this episode helped something click into place, tell us in the comments. We'd love to know which story landed for you. And if you want to walk the rest of this path with us, subscribe and give this video a like so more people can find their way here too. Next time, after understanding all of this, where does a man go and what does he do with the 45 years of life still ahead of him?